this is Bamidele Tsunami Ojo from 9 to 5 Gamer, and I'm here with distinguished gentlemen. Alan Ramirez, please introduce yourself.
Hi, nice to meet you guys. My name is Alan. I've known Bami Tsunami since college. We're good friends. Been a gamer for quite a while, and I'm happy to be here to share my opinion on what we're talking about today. So glad to be here.
Excellent. What game are you currently playing now? Like, what's your number one game right now?
It's hard to say. I mean, I've been kind of busy lately, so the only thing I haven't really bought anything new, but I've been replaying the original Ninja Gaiden Black for Xbox on Xbox Arcade. So I've been enjoying that. Just got into the missions after finishing story mode. It's a handful, to say the least. It's really challenging. So it's been fun.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear it. And we also have Jerry Lewis Sane. He is our resident streamer. He's always streaming a variety of games. So, Jerry, please introduce yourself.
Jerry, I go by Twindarkness on quite a few different online names, Xbox, Nintendo, Network ID, Twitter, all that stuff. I guess the last game I've been playing, or what I've been playing recently, off stream, Golden Sun. I've been playing Golden Sun.
Wow, okay, that's a throwback. Are you playing on the Wii U? Because I know it's out on the Wii U. Are you playing on the Game Boy Advance or the Wii U?
No, I'm playing the one that came out on the DS. So that's
wow.
the latest iteration.
Okay, excellent. Perfect. And we also have, last but not least, Elliot Mest. Yes, you know what, let me just have the guy introduce himself for himself.
There's not much to say. My name's Elliot.
Yeah, exactly.
I go by the Oh, really? Bomb is my flunky that he seems to move around quite a bit. He's all over the internet, but no, I go by the Landslide online. I'm a fighting game player. Right now I'm playing Dark Souls 2, which I've beat it a lot, but I'm playing the Scholar of the First Sin, like the director's cut, and I decided to do it on Soul Level 1, and it's hard, really hard, but that's taking up a lot of my time trying to stream.
It's crazy.
These guys watch me get bodied all the time, but it's good. It's a good game.
Yeah, oh great, perfect. So the reason we're all here is not just to like pat each other on the back and like whatnot. I decided to go ahead with this video because there was recently a Buzzfeed video that was released that had a trio of feminists playing Grand Theft Auto 5. Now, there's going to be a link to the video below this on YouTube. But the thing about the video is that they went and cherry-picked two specific situations, and in the climate that we're in today, it's par for the course. They went with a strip club scene and the part where you hire hookers. Now, there are several parts within the video that are very questionable and very inflammatory, and I want to get each of your opinions here before I say my own piece. So, Elliot, if you don't mind going first, what were your initial thoughts after you watched the video?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I don't know what anyone else expected. Grand Theft Auto is a do-anything simulator. Like, it's an open world. You can have your fun any way you want. You could play that game for 200 hours and never hurt a good person, but I doubt anyone would. But, I mean, imagine if you showed it to your girlfriend or something if you went to the strip club. Most people would be, I don't know if upset is the right word, but there are parts of it that just don't appeal to everybody, but there are parts of it, I mean, it's designed to let you do whatever you want, but I mean, it wasn't surprising that they would do that they would feel that way. That's all.
Okay, Mr. Ramirez, what about your thoughts?
Well, first and foremost, I mean, it's a video made by a site that I think lives on like kind of just clickbait and hits like that. So I'm not surprised that Buzzfeed will put out something so purposely inflammatory because I mean, look at the modern gaming scene. I mean, there's a lot of talk about this type of topic, so I'm not surprised people would. I think it's just kind of like a cash in on just, I mean, more publicity for a site, but it is kind of ridiculous. As Elliot said, I mean, it's a game where you're supposed to, you can just do whatever you want, and I think that the creators of GTA don't take themselves or their game too seriously as far as it really representing anything serious. It is, like one of the women in the video said, a satire. An exaggerated satire of American culture. So, I mean, I don't think it should really be taken that seriously at all. It's just, not a big deal.
Mr. Lewis Sane, what are your thoughts on that in particular?
It's clickbait. When you shared it earlier on Facebook, the first thing I did was clicked on the actual Buzzfeed video page, and then I wanted to see how many likes and comments were under that video. And seeing like over 1,000 comments, I wasn't really surprised. Like, this is basically clickbait. They want people to talk. Then Yeah, they had an agenda when they released that video, and I'm pretty sure they got it at the end of the day.
All of you guys have made very fine points that I've obviously like thought of, and I thought it'd be great to get a bunch of you guys here together to talk about this, because I feel like this is where we're headed now when it comes to gaming media. Not necessarily gaming. Gaming has its own issues that it needs to work out with diversity, how it portrays women, so on and so forth, and I totally agree with that conversation. But there's another end of the conversation that's harkening back to the 90s, where it's just like, let's just demonize parts of video games and then generalize at the same time. My main issue is that one of the ladies in the video mentioned that they were asked, what have you heard about GTA? They obviously have never had any encounter with the series whatsoever. The first lady, I think, went off and said that it's something that she's heard, that you do horrible things to women. That was like her main, like, it's GTA.
It's things to everybody.
You heard everyone in GTA, but her specific thing was, I heard that this is something that you just do horrible things to women too. Now, I hate, because we're gonna start towing the line between who are people who really are invested in video games in comparison to people who are just there to make a conversation, who don't know shit about games themselves. At one point, during the whole strip club scene, one of the women goes and says that this is something that no person who's ever had to deal with a woman would enjoy. Now, if I'm not mistaken, strip clubs are a real thing. Am I mistaken? I don't think that's so bizarre. So they automatically go for the undercarriage attack, the low blow, saying like, if you're a 14-year-old prepubescent male, this is the only thing that you'd enjoy. And in fact, at one point, one of the ladies says that this is something that'd be damaging towards during your formative years, which is absolutely untrue. There are studies that have proven that violence in video games don't affect your development as an adult or as a child, and the same thing carries over to these kind of sexual topics or things within video games that have to do with like women or sex in general. So I feel like Mr. Lewis was saying just now, it's just clickbait because this is the current climate. Grand Theft Auto 5 dropped in 2013. And they're just now bringing it back up again, 2 years later, for what kind of conversation?
It's been that long?
It's really been that long. I got the operation done on my leg in 2013, so I'm just like, is this really...
You know, I always think, like, Grand Theft Auto, I mean, it's a do-anything simulator, but it's also, you know, in the same category as, like, a mob drama, kind of like a mob kind of game. And most mob movies that I've ever seen have a strip club scene, I think, or like a lot of them do. So I mean, if it's okay in a movie, yeah, I guess the difference is that this is like interactive. But how interactive can you really be? It's just like press square to touch her. You know, you're not even supposed to do that. It's just like a whole, I don't know, it's just ridiculous. Grand Theft Auto is ridiculous in general.
It is a ridiculous game. So another thing I have to really target on is that one lady at one point said, this is why I wrote on my blog that this is why I hate video games, because of stuff like this. So she, right off the bat, she went for a blanket statement. She went for the blanket attack, which has become like the backdrop of this whole conversation about diversity and the inclusion of women. Is it that it's now, let's just generalize all games as misogynistic, patriarchal pieces of shit that promote the subjugation of women, which is absolutely unfair. And not, I mean, if you can tell me Mario Kart is the subjugation of women at this
I really hate the strip club scene in Tetris.
There's a few parts to this. I mean, obviously, video gaming in general, I mean, the largest constituent of the fan base of video games are men. I mean, I think that's no mystery here. So, of course, developers are going to make games that appeal to men. And I think a lot of the complaints people get are, you know, I guess the way women look in games, or that they're like really ditzy, or they're just too sexy. And I think those complaints are slick just because these are products made to sell to a base of people who purchase these games. And it makes sense to make them appeal to men. But to say that all games, as a blanket statement, are terrible because of the way they depict women is just, you can dismiss that comment immediately because it's just, that's so ignorant and one-dimensional. I mean, but
I really want to... I'm sorry, go ahead, sorry. I was gonna...
Oh, no, it's fine. Getting back to the strip club thing, you know, it's interesting how a lot of people talk about inequality or not proper representation of both genders in games. And Elliot mentions playing Dark Souls 2, and that reminded me, for example, of what a lot of developers are doing. You can make a male or female character all the same in Dark Souls 2 or plenty of other games, like even going back to like Mass Effect. I think that was one of the first games that allowed you to do that with your own creative character. Of course, having a strip club, for a man to go into to broke women, that's one. I personally don't know if there's such a, I don't know if the protagonist of GTA 5 can go into a gay strip club and do the same thing. I guess I can see some sort of like objection there. But I mean, at the end of the day, the main characters are male. I guess that just kind of goes in line with the whole nature of the game. And as was mentioned previously, it is kind of a mafioso game. And in mafioso movies, you've got these kind of people going to those types of establishments. So I can kind of see maybe you can't go to a gay strip club, how some people be like, oh, well, that's not, completely you're missing equivalency there. But ultimately, it's just, it does fit in the nature of the game. And I think at that point it's coming to why censor it as a form of art in that way. I mean, that just fits in with the game at that point. So I hate on a lot of topics. Sorry.
No, that's perfect. It's
But, like,
exactly why we're having this podcast.
A game like Grand Theft Auto, like you go to a strip club, but you also kill drug dealers, you kill human traffickers, you do all sorts of crazy stuff. People jump out of buildings, they land on cars, you get killed by a shark before you hit the water. It's like crazy. It's a crazy game.
Mr. Lewis, you have anything to say?
Yeah, so I was speaking to Baum about this earlier, about this video, and there was one thing that I told him, like, it's fine to have the three women play those three separate parts of the game, but I was wondering to Baum, why didn't they add other parts to the game that weren't violent? Like, how come they didn't add any of the jet ski racing that were included in the game? How come they didn't add any of the parachuting, or maybe even the air combat or air flying? Like, there's if I remember correctly, in GTA 5, there's a flight school, like, because flying is pretty difficult in that game, and I really enjoyed doing the flight school, and then you can collect a different number of airplanes in the game, and then you could just fly over Los Santos and do nothing, or if you wanted to, you could crash into buildings. Like, that's how open GTA is. Like,
Isn't there a whole golf game in there?
There's whole there's 9 rounds of golf in GTA 5.
See, and
also
I'm surprised
tennis.
with what Jerry said. I'm sorry, I just want to interject quickly.
No, that's fine.
If this game came out in 2002 and you could fly planes into buildings, guess what other bandwagon hoppers would be? Like it's the same thing. It's all about time. That's all it is. And now, since this whole sexism thing in games is big, sites like Buzzfeed are going to jump in on that and pick certain parts of the game for certain types of people to play who would find, offensive, and here we are. So.
And here's another thing I like to point out, because that one lady one point that she made that really struck home with me, is that she said that she goes and writes about how much she hates video games. So it makes me think that this person is gonna go and play GTA 5, play these two separate sections, but are only a small fragment of the game, and then go and report about that to her constituents, and they're gonna be like, yeah, you know what, these white male gamers in their basements, that's all they do. They just play Grand Theft Auto, they hate women, so on and so forth, for all eternity. It's become a narrative now. It's very unfortunate, because if you try to have a conversation about this kind of thing, you have people who would be like, no, it's absolutely not true. In fact, if they didn't see my name online, it says Bamidele Ojo, they just assume automatically that I'm some white guy that hates women that lives in his mom's basement. That's the narrative now, and this only feeds into that, and that's not exactly fair. And this is why I write a lot of the articles that I write on 9to5gamer.com, is that there's no discussion now. It's like, let's just come to the table instead of sitting down and discussing it like human beings. We cherry pick and then we fight each other. Both ends of the table do this, and this is where the conversation gets marred and becomes a slugfest.
That's the nature of a lot of media, isn't it?
It is, and you're absolutely right. But here's the difference, though, because in the larger media, there's critiques of that. If you try and have a critique of this conversation, of this issue, unless you're on the LGBT, female, minority, whatever you want to call it, side, and you might have an opposing or dissenting opinion, prepare your asshole for a ramming, because it's over for you. I'm sorry, it's happened. You see it time and time again. I don't agree. You guys are all part of 9to5gamer, the page, on the group on Facebook. I get into it with certain people all the time, and this is just a small microcosm of the greater discussion. It's just me and a few other people. But on the grander scale of things, imagine what it's like to say, like, listen, I don't exactly agree with where you're coming from, and then have like 5, 10,000 people jump down your throat, call you all sorts of names, and tell you that you're wrong and that you hate women. The narrative has become skewed, and I'm all about diversity and inclusion. It's become an agenda at this point, and once it becomes an agenda, it loses its point, and it's not even a conversation worth having, honestly. In fact, when I made that post, I said that why don't you get a bunch of black people who've never played GTA to play San Andreas, and then cherry pick specific moments from there and see how they would react.
Yeah, we might
The
be
other thing is, like, when it comes to GTA, I don't think anybody is really in a good light. Any demographic, any single person in there is shown in a positive way. It's like the worst of everybody. Sure.
Very true.
That's like the setting.
It's just a crap sack world. But the thing is that when you try and isolate certain situations and then generalize from there, you start having some problems. One other thing I'd like to point out, the hooker part. When you go, the whole hookers in GTA thing has been a discussion since GTA went 3D with GTA 3. Like, no one cared about GTA before that, but as soon as you could pick up hookers, I've been seeing this in newspapers, I've been hearing politicians scream about it for a decade at this point. This isn't new. But in today's climate, with how the treatment of female characters or so on and so forth has now become the major, like, form of discussion, that specific scene, being a decade old, is now being brought back to the forefront. So what are your guys' thoughts on that whole section of the Buzzfeed video, the hookers and so on and so forth?
It did create a big stir a while back. I remember, yeah, you're right, when GTA 3 came out in 2001, or was it 2001 or 2002? It was a while ago, one of those 2 years. It was a big deal because, you know, especially you beat the hooker and get your money back. I mean, clearly it's abhorrent, but it's just like everything else in the game. You can brutalize anyone and everything in that game. So the fact that it's being made a big deal now is just kind of silly. I mean, people don't remember GTA 3. Honestly, I kind of applaud Rockstar Games just for sticking to their guns. It's like, no, this is our game. We know it's horrible in that way, and that's just our game, so we're going to keep that element in there. Do I look at it as some sort of deplorable, like, treatment of women? Not really, because it's a ridiculous game where everything is so exaggerated. And like I said, I'm just glad that Rockstar didn't back down. It's like, no, this is our game. We want it to be as absurd as, you know, we originally made it. And from GTA 3 to GTA 5, it still has those same elements in it. Once again, I think, you know, there was a really good article. I forget which developer this was. It's a Japanese developer. Because you mentioned yourself, Michael, like, this has become the big discussion, especially in America, for Western countries. A Japanese developer was asked about their depiction of women in their games, and I don't remember what it was verbatim, their response, but it was very good. This is not verbatim, but like what the developer basically said is, we trust the people who buy our products to differentiate between the fantasy world, the ridiculous make-believe world of our product, and the real world. You know, we believe they're mature enough to make that distinction. So, I mean, the whole ESRB exists for a reason, those ratings. I mean, so you can reasonably assume that anyone 17 plus is not going to look at this as like, oh, clearly, this is how this works. I'm going to go hire a hooker and the shit out of him, take my money back. No, it's a ridiculous. It's the beginning of, like, I think the last GTA I played was 4. Like, the entire world, you immediately understand that it's ridiculous. It's not meant to be taken that seriously. So I guess, I don't know, I made my point. Because, you know, the developers mean for it to be serious. I'm glad they kept it in their game because that is part of their crazy world they've made where you can brutalize anyone and everyone.
I just want to first of all say that I don't really even like GTA. I don't think it's very fun. That's main reason why I don't like it. I always thought that the last one I really played was 4. I always thought the combat wasn't fun. There were just some parts of it I didn't find enjoyable. I mean, I don't like that you can pick up hookers and stuff. Like, that's just, I mean, this is something that I would never do in a game, you know? Where I go to the strip club. Like, that's like not a game to me, you know? That's not like something that's fun. But it's satire for one. And the person admitted that it was satire, they recognized that it was, and then they still chose to be offended by it. If you recognize something as satire, and then you choose to be offended by it, then you don't really know what satire is.
Yeah.
And GTA, like, it's horrible subject matter, everything. I agree with that, but it's also excellent satire. That's
yes,
like the worst aspects of America, hands down, are all in that game. And, you know, I mean, it speaks for itself.
Mr. Lewis, any thoughts?
Just want to piggyback on what Alan said. Just applaud Rockstar for continuing that trend. I'm pretty sure all GTAs from 3, 4, San Andreas, what's the other one, Vice City, Chinatown Wars. I'm pretty sure in all those you can pick up hookers and whatever you want to do with them. Myself, I've played what? I played GTA 4, played GTA 5. I've never once participated in that part of the game. I know why they put it in the game, but that's probably the most important part, why they put it in the game. And they're like, yeah, like what everybody else said, you just if you're just taking it really, really too serious. Like that's not the point of the game.
I mean, like, alright, let's compare GTA to Mortal Kombat. Like, Mortal Kombat's not satire. That's a gore fest, like, on purpose. You know what I mean? Like, if you're offended by Mortal Kombat because you know someone who's been hurt badly or something like that, I don't know. I get that, you know? It's violence for no reason. But this is satire. It's different. And I know that some parts of this are kind of nonsensical or seem like they don't have a purpose. But it's like, I don't know. It's two different things. And also, America is terrified of sex.
Oh yes, we're okay with beating the crap out of each other, but we're not okay with seeing titties. That's
Perfectly fine with violence, you know?
Yeah.
It was the South Park episode in that one.
As long as you don't film the violence, people see the getting hit them right in the face, then it's okay. You see horrible things happen in PG-13 movies.
To be honest, like Elliot, you made a good point. You're right. Mortal Kombat there's a very big difference between Mortal Kombat and GTA. Like GTA is clearly satire from the get-go, whereas games like Mortal Kombat are just violence for the sake of violence. But I mean, even though GTA is satire, I could see someone who's been a victim of any sort of numerous crimes being offended by it. But like, I mean, if you're going to start demonizing any sort of media because of that, then everything is objectionable, and that's just ridiculous. So even using that as a basis is absurd. Like, even stand-up comedians bring up things that could be offensive to people in the audience. It doesn't mean they should stop doing their stand-up.
Right.
Yeah. So everything's going to become objectionable.
The only thing that can't be offensive, I think, is Mario.
All right. Okay. So the video itself was around like 2-3 minutes long. So I'm gonna wrap this little podcast up. So I want to get some closing thoughts on the issue. Do you think that this trend, I honestly feel like it's a trend right now. I don't feel like there's going to be an end to the dialogue, which I don't want there to be an end to the dialogue when it comes to inclusion and diversity, but sensationalizing of every single thing that offends every single person, I feel like that's going to come to an end eventually. So what are you guys' thoughts on that particular idea? Do you think this is a trend, or do you think this is something much more that we'll be dealing with for a very long time?
I guess I'll go first. I mean, I think this is something we're going to be dealing with for a very long time. Everyone, as long as there is media that seeks to make money off people watching, reading, clicking their links to their site, I mean, sensationalism is always going to exist. So I think it's just our responsibility as individuals to mature, realize what their agenda is, and just be like, and just move past it. Just, oh, I see what they're doing. Ignore. Like, it's going to be with us for a long time. But it's, it is what it is. I feel like this whole video game sexism thing is just the new flavor.
Alright.
Jerry?
Yeah, I feel like nothing is going to change. There's always going to be something out there in the meeting that's going to offend everybody or offend someone. Yeah, so I feel like it's always going to be there. Change. There might be change. It might not be change. Considering video games, there's a big group of people out there that want change and want more inclusion of strong women in games. I'm not sure yet if there will be a big change or if there will be a small change, but I feel like as far as people being offended by stuff, I think that's always going to be there, whether or not things change in video games or not.
I don't think this is a trend. I actually do consider myself a feminist, and I feel that women do consider themselves underrepresented in pretty much all types of media, and that has not changed, and you can't change things that have already been made, so the only way it's going to change is if they make enough noise until there are changes, and I think it's going to happen eventually. I think that there are going to be some mistakes. I think that people, they're going after the wrong people all the time. I think that's what happens when people feel strongly about something, and I just think this is the wrong fight, that's all.
Alright, then thanks again guys for being part of this whole shebang-a-bang. It'll be up on 9 to 5 a little later. But thank you for participating, and those of you who are listening, sound off in the comments. Let us know. Check out the website, 9to5gamer.com. Yes, I'm official now, so check it out. We also have live streamers here. I'll be putting down their information. And yeah, stay tuned for other like poignant thoughts from the peanut gallery. Anyway, thank you once again guys, and that's it.